How will the Titanic submarine affect the sandwich market, and why couldn't anyone find it? Also, will I be able to get a job someday if I crack jokes on the internet? Let's find out today on Alternative Jargon. Welcome back, guys. This is episode 11. I hope everyone enjoyed if you heard last week's episode. I know it was a long one, but we had our first ever guest featuring my buddy Jesse. If you haven't checked that one out, and you have an hour and 46 minutes of your life that you don't want to get back, go give it a listen, give it a watch. Had a good time. I do plan on having some people back on the show. It's definitely fun, more fun than talking to myself, but I can't always arrange that. But without further ado, let's address the elephant in the room, guys. Let's just get it out of the way. I think elephants can elephants swim? I don't know if elephants can swim, but I know they can cross rivers and stuff. But the elephant in the room today is the Titanic submarine, guys. I am legally obligated to talk about this. This is the biggest story of the week. Huge story. The first day that the submarine got lost, I heard about it a little bit, but now it's everywhere. And there are people coming out of the woodworks to report on this thing. Every time I open TikTok, there's some middle-aged man with professional lighting and a headset on telling me the next update about it. I don't know where these guys come from, but there is a whole squadron of people just covering this submarine at all given moments. This is like the LeBron free agency, but underwater, all right? Every person is covering this story. But the company that built this submarine and did this mission, their name is OceanGate, and that is just not a good start right out of the gate. No pun intended. But, come on. We couldn't see this coming. All right. First of all, you're going to look for the Titanic. You're looking for the wreckage of one of the most infamous disasters we've ever seen. And you're going to name your company OceanGate. It's not a great look. It's not a great look. And it's just not, look, a swim of 1,000 miles begins with a single flipper. And they just got off on the wrong flipper this time around. Just not good. Not good. And, somebody in the submarine must have turned on airplane mode, right? I know that you want your Wi-Fi. I know, it's going to, the navigation, right? Who built airplane mode into this submarine? And I'd like to also say, just a little disclaimer here. I've already been talking about the sub for a couple of minutes, but right now we're not sure what the whole shebang is with this whole thing. Are they alive? I don't believe so. I'm recording this on Thursday, June 22nd, at what time? 2:36 p.m. New York time, Eastern Standard Time. So I apologize if this becomes a posthumous podcast. I'm really sorry. I mean no offense. But again, whenever you sign up for any social media account nowadays, there's certain things that you just have to talk about. So this submarine is 100% one of them. In the terms and conditions of Spotify, of YouTube, of Apple Podcasts, of TikTok, of Instagram, etc., it says in my contract I have to talk about the submarine. So that's what I have to do. I wasn't even going to make a podcast this week, but they want to rally the troops and they want everyone to talk about this. It's the story of a lifetime. But I really think, it doesn't seem like they're really trying to find this thing. All right. Where are the CNN anchors? Where are the CNN reporters who are looking for a promotion. I remember when the Ukraine war started, February 2022, when the whole thing first kicked off. There were dudes in hard hats, like on the front lines over there, reporting, right? They're like, oh, we're not sure what's going on. There'd be a bang in the background. It was great television. They were doing it really well. All the networks were. You had guys in bulletproof vests, guys in Kevlar, out there dogging it out, giving us info, right? There was probably a CNN reporter co-piloting with the Ghost of Kyiv back then, all right? Where are those guys? You know, some $30,000 a year CNN guy who's trying to climb the rankings to Anderson Cooper's position needs to get his wetsuit out. Get your oxygen tank, get your wetsuit, get in there. Get in there. You want to get drunk with Andy Cohen and Anderson Cooper on New Year's Eve in 6 months? Buddy, get your snorkeling device out and get underwater. All right? I'm tired of this stuff. We're sitting around going, oh, you know, they're sending out sonar pulses. All right, you don't find a needle in a haystack by putting your metal detector on the surface. Somebody needs to get wet. Somebody get wet. All right? You want to sit down with Wolf Blitzer and have an hour special, a town house about this? Where are the journalists at? Somebody go deep dive. We can find this thing. No one's in the water. We're all treading water on the surface going, well, we're not sure where it is. Get in there, all right? I'm not going to do it because I don't want that type of job someday. But somebody get in there, all right? What has happened to journalism? No one wants to do the dirty work for journalism anymore. Apparently, someone dive in there. Get your GoPro out, right? I know that when you get down to where they are, there's like 6,000 pounds of pressure. The PSI is enough to like create a black hole. But do you want that promotion or not? Go find it, man. All right, do you want to be wearing a lanyard at the next Capitol insurrection? I know there's people out there that do. You want that promotion. You want your own special at 8 p.m. someday, right? Tucker Carlson's position is open. He's left. Get in the water. Get in there. I'm tired of this stuff. We're just sitting around. All right. We know where the mission started, right? We know where it started, and obviously we know where the Titanic wreckage is. James Cameron's been there a few times. James Cameron is probably starting a new screenwrite about this whole thing. He's already rented the IMAX camera for this. You know, we know where they went under. We know where the wreckage is. Somebody connect the dots. Somebody connect the dots. Look, I'm not a scientist, but this can't be that hard. This can't be that hard. Are we really even trying? It doesn't appear to me that we are. I know that they're driving the thing with an Xbox 360 controller, yada, yada, yada. It might be a little bit unpredictable as to where these guys end up, but you know, the effort seems to be lacking. Somebody needs to step in like Coach Carter and get the Navy, get the CNN reporters trying to climb the rankings, all right? Get whoever wants to. Get them on board. Let's go find these people, which, you know, it might be too late. As of today, apparently they've run out of oxygen. And last I checked, human beings can't do photosynthesis. The CO2 is not going to do them any well. And, you know, this is a very unfortunate situation. It's very sad what these people are going through. Not a good thing. Really not a good thing. And it just feels like we are lacking energy. Somebody call Bill Belichick and give the military, give these people a good halftime speech. I mean, it's too late now. This should have been done days ago. But what are we doing? It's 2023 and we can't find a big hunk of metal floating around in the ocean. Absolutely disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful. If you tell me everyone's doing their job, I don't know if I can believe that. Maybe they got sucked into Atlantis, right? I'm really surprised I haven't seen the conspiracies start about this. Usually when there's a major world event, whether it impacts, no matter who it impacts, there's somebody online, on Twitter, on my For You page, because I attract all of this stuff willingly. Every time I see something wild, I make sure to like, I make sure to interact because I want to keep seeing the wild stuff. But every time there's a major world event, someone's always saying, this is meant to deflect. Did you know that Nancy Pelosi just made $20 million on stock? Did you know that Mitch McConnell just got a DUI? This is all a story to diverge the plot. I haven't seen any of that yet about the submarine, and that's really surprising because I haven't seen a story covered like this maybe since Will Smith, slapped Chris Rock. And, if this happened in 2020, QAnon would have grabbed a hold of this, man, right? Where are all of the good old conspiracy theorists? If this happened in 2020, it would have been, this is meant to divert our attention. They are dropping the next variant soon. It would have been something. But these people need to get back on their game. I need to be entertained. I need to hear some wild stuff because that's the stuff I love. That's the stuff that makes life fun, right? The normal news cycle by itself is not fun. We need the people to analyze, to break down, to reject everything that's heard. That's what makes it fun, right? As for, I love it too because, and I'm targeting, once again, this is a neutral podcast. I target right-wingers, I target left-wingers, I target center-wingers. So I like to trash on all of them. And once again, both sides are guilty of everything. But I love when there is any news story and it comes out, and no matter what it's about, if it's a bad story about one side, the other side says, this story is just to deflect attention off of this other thing that's going on, right? The Republicans are stirring the pot on this issue so that we don't know that they're actually in the middle of this right now, which would make them look really bad, or vice versa. So people always say that, but then whenever something is actually reported, they're like, all this negative reporting, where's all the positive news stories? So it's like, and I am in no way, I don't want to sound like I'm defending the mainstream media. Very flawed, I know. News is very flawed. News is bad. News is terrible. But, it's sort of what's the word? I can't think of the word right now, but it's one of those things where there's never a right answer, no matter what's reported, no matter what the news is saying. There's always something bad to be said by somebody, right? If you report the real news, which is oftentimes negative, then it's the news is just stirring the pot to make people upset, and the world really isn't this bad. And then when there's a positive story, this positive story they're trying to just hide the fact that this negative story is going on. And this is why, turn off the news, guys. Come on. Go for a walk. Get outside. Pick up a book, right? Read something other than a there are those days where, and I mean like individual days, some days I wake up and I don't feel good. It's a sick day. And on these sick days, right, you don't leave your house because you're sick. And oftentimes on these sick days, I sit on my phone, refreshing the 3 different apps I use all day. And that never has a good toll on me, ever. These are some of the most depressing days because you read the same headlines over and over. You see the same stories over and over. I have SportsCenter on the TV, and I've heard about Ja Morant's gun 57 times today. SportsCenter restarts every hour, and they pump out the same stories every hour. And the point I'm trying to get at is the people that sit on their phone all day refreshing the news, and the people that take everything they see about the news like it's, the second coming of Christ, like it's the most important thing ever. It's not healthy. It can't be healthy, guys. Get off the news, guys. Go do something, right? But anyway, I digress. We're about 15 minutes in right now, 16 minutes in. The mainstream media, my overlords that you guys didn't know existed, my submarine overlords, they want me to talk about this for at least 20 minutes. I've got to drag the submarine on for a couple more minutes. I'm really sorry, but this is the coverage they want. They want everyone focused on the sub right now. So while we're discussing this, I'd like everyone, if you haven't already, to go sub to my channel. All right, let's get those numbers up. But anyway, I'm really curious. I am really curious if there's going to be some stuff that's frowned upon after this event, right? The news story of the year. In baseball, are you going to be able to throw a sinker still? First and foremost, right? The 4-seam fastball might be making a comeback because Rob Manfred might step in and say, look, guys, we can't keep doing this whole sinker thing. Not appropriate. Not appropriate. It's over. Are we going to be able to play video games on our favorite consoles? Will the government step in and say, look, these controllers too closely resemble a tragedy? These controllers, I can't even look at them. When I look at them, I imagine the deep, dark Atlantic Ocean. We can't have that. Can't have it. All right. Are you going to be able to order a sub at a restaurant, guys? How is this going to affect the sandwich industry, right? Jimmy John's, Firehouse Subs, Subway, Sheetz, Wawa. Is this going to just completely obliterate those chains? How, after this happens, no matter how this ends, how are you on good conscience going to walk into a restaurant and say, could I get a sub? Could I please get a sub? Right? Maybe it'll end up in a ban of just cold subs. Maybe you can still get a hot sub because obviously, if you didn't know, the ocean is cold. A cold sub, inappropriate. Yeah. If the cabin didn't explode and if they didn't run out of water, then they were definitely cold. No cold subs. I heard that this whole thing might hit Subway especially hard because they were supposed to, through the grapevine I heard this, they were supposed to have a new marketing campaign this month with the slogan, you can't keep your eyes off this sub. It was supposed to be a brand new thing they were bringing out, some kind of, teriyaki something or other. But it was supposed to be really good with new toppings, really great. Charles Barkley was probably going to be in the commercial. And they say their main tagline for this campaign was, "You can't keep your eyes off this sub." Don't think that one's going to happen anymore. Don't think that one's probably going to get released. All right. And by the way, that's a joke. I don't actually know if Subway was going to release a new campaign. I made that up. It was a joke. But if that were to happen, hypothetically, I think the PR team for Subway would probably rather bring back Jared than do that one. You remember Jared? Jared from Subway. Lost a lot of weight with Subway. Good stuff. Good stuff. It's not what he's most remembered for, though. He was a pedophile. He liked kids. It was not cool. Was not cool. All right. And I would like to announce something on the show today, and that is that I don't think pedophilia is a good thing. I don't think it is. I'm very against pedophilia. I think it's bad. All right, I just hit 60 followers on Instagram the other day for this podcast, and I think that I'm approaching that public figure crescendo, right? Whenever you make it big enough, you have to start announcing your views and pushing your views onto the world, and I think I've reached that point. So it's time for me to start releasing my controversial opinions that nobody asked for onto the public. And I'm going to start that with the very polarizing opinion that pedophilia is wrong, guys. Thank you. And with that, we have reached our allotted time to talk about the sub. I hope you guys enjoyed. Again, I needed to clear the air. And, I actually went over 20 minutes. So for my social overlords who needed me to talk about that, I should have a watertight case to be able to prove to them that I did completely fill up my time for that. But anyway, this has kind of gotten me down, the whole sub thing. And we need to remember that it's summertime, guys. It is, the most beautiful time of year. According to some people, summer's great. The trees are green. It's warm out. You can go swimming. So, quit looking at the news. The sub is, it's an unfortunate case, but time is not infinite. Time is very finite. And let's just enjoy the summer a little bit. I always view the summer as a time to get ahead while I'm off school. It's the 3 months of the year where I can pretty much truly do whatever I want, besides working my little grocery store job to make some money over the summer. The rest of that time is completely mine. I have no classes. I have, no holidays to be worried about, besides maybe lighting some stuff on fire at the beginning of July and watching it blow up. There's not a whole lot of stuff to get in the way. And that really can't be said about the rest of the year, at least if you're a student in college. So, you look at, let's just start with January, all right? January through May is the spring semester. Then you got summer, which I like to call, the 3 months of true freedom. And then August through December, you've got obviously the fall semester. And some people might say, well, what about the winter break? Is that not your completely free time? And no, it's not, because the holidays get in the way. Don't get me wrong. I love the holidays. I consider the holiday season to be like October through January, or the beginning of January, the end of December, whatever. So you've got like Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's all back to back to back to back. And, there's a lot of minor holidays that you can kind of skip over. But then those are the holidays where your vibes are sort of dictated for you. You don't really get to pick your vibe during that time of the year. during the month of October, you feel obligated to watch a scary movie, maybe to read a spooky book, maybe get down to the Monster Mash. However it is you celebrate, at least for me, it's like, the holiday season comes around, we hit October, and I'm like, you know what? It's October. I'm not really in the mood to watch Michael Myers go on his yearly rampage yet. I'm not really in the mood to watch Jason slash through some teenagers yet. But then I'm like, well, if I don't watch it this month, like I'm going to miss out on that season, right? I've got to decorate my college apartment to have a Halloween party. I've got to find a costume to go get sweaty in a frat basement. I've got to do all these things. And, I don't have to, but it's like, you can't miss out. And so that's what I mean by you don't really get to pick your own vibe. Obviously, November, you have Thanksgiving, right? Let's eat the turkey, go home, hang out with family. And I'm making this sound like I hate those things. I absolutely don't. I love the holidays. I think it's a great balance between the rest of the year where you sort of get to do your own thing, and then the holidays where you can sort of go on autopilot and say, hey, I don't have the pressure of deciding what my vibes are for the next 3 months. I'm going to have them figured out but just by the calendar. The calendar takes over. So that's kind of nice because sometimes you don't know what your vibes are. And by the way, by vibes, I mean like, what music are you listening to? What food are you eating? Do you have any goals? It's hard to stick to goals, and it's hard to listen to whatever music you want and watch whatever movies you want during the holiday season. Your goals sort of seem to go out the window for a few months. Yeah, I'll eat the candy. Yeah, I'll eat the pie. Yeah, I'll skip the gym and I'll watch the Polar Express with a hot cocoa mug. Right? It's really hard to keep up with stuff during that time of year. But I do think it's a great balance. But the reason why I say summer is like the most potent time of year for your own vibes and your own direction. By the way, I hate the word vibes, but I don't know what other word to use. I hear the word vibes and all I can think is like vibes, bro. Vibes, but I hate that word. I hate all those words. They're such, any word that's a synonym with vibes, it just sounds like I'm about to push bang energy onto you. It just sounds like I'm about to pull out a bottle of Prime and talk about my morning routine, right? But, summer is the best time for your own custom vibes because there's no school in the way. There's no holidays in the way. For 3 months, you get to do, you can listen to whatever music you want, which I guess the music you can do the rest of the year. But, there's no holidays in the way. There's no school in the way. Whatever goal you want to work towards for 3 months, you have like no distractions. And I love that about summer. The last like 3 summers have always been times for me to like get ahead in another area that I might not get the time to focus on during the rest of the year. Like I've been doing a lot of reading this summer, trying to get in the gym. This podcast, during the rest of the year, I have not really had time to do a whole lot of this, but during the summer, it's like, yeah, I have time for this now, and I really enjoy doing it, and it's fun, and I love that about summer. So I wouldn't say it's my favorite season. My favorite season is always the next one. It's always the next one, because by the time the one that we're on is getting close to being over, I get sick of it, and I go, man, I can't wait for the next one. And that includes winter. A lot of people hate on winter, but winter's nice. By the time winter rolls around, I am in the mood for winter. In the next part of this podcast today, because we're only at 30 minutes. I got to fill this somehow. I want to talk about being canceled, or, doing something online that could get you in trouble in a real area someday. I don't just mean, my account, I got a strike on my account for copyright. I used that one Drake song in my outro, and OVO sound is at my door pounding it down. No, I don't mean that, but sometimes I think about, what if my future employers watch or know about or see this podcast or a clip from this podcast, and will that someday thwart my efforts to get a job? Now, obviously, the dream is that you never work at a job that would be that strict. And I think that's everyone's dream, right? If it's something that's not that major, then it's and by major, I mean if a joke I made online wasn't that bad, then, whatever. But, just the other day, I made a joke on the podcast with my buddy about how if Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was president during 9/11, he would probably have found out about the attack and just gone to the gym and lifted. And then I sat down and I edited that clip with a clip of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson lifting weights while planes struck the towers. And am I screwed? Look, I just want to have fun. I just want to maybe make one or two people laugh. But will my hobby someday cost me my employability? I don't know. Maybe when I shoot out the Indeed resume, I just hit the private button on Instagram. I don't know. How do we prepare for this? I see, I don't know. Somebody's got to have fun, dude. Somebody's got to do something. For right now, I'm just trying to have fun. And I've had family members who have worked in human resources. I know the rules for that can be kind of crazy. But I don't want to get ahead of myself, because the odds of my employers finding this podcast are not great right now. This whole thing assumes that my podcast will someday have more than 30 YouTube subscribers, and that is a very long limb to go out on, right? Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. But, I just hope that when our generation enters the workforce and starts making the rules about who can get hired, that they give a little bit of leeway, right? Let us have some fun online. Let us have our fun. I always see these people on TikTok making extremely offensive jokes, and I just wonder, what are they going to do when they start applying to jobs? Now, don't get me wrong, I love a good joke. I very, very, very rarely have ever been offended by any joke. It's a joke. But, I see some of these people and it's like, dude, what trade school are you at? Because there's no way these people could get accepted at a public, college. Some of these people, what they're doing, Sir, we found a video of you licking gymnastics powder off the floor during a duet of Livy Dawn on TikTok. And we've decided that you are just not a great fit for our company. Sir, after reviewing your resume, you appear extremely qualified for our director role. However, when Googling your name, an Instagram reel surfaced of you pretending to procreate with Charlie D'Amelio. Because of this, we've decided to not move forward. Sir, you were the highest performing member of your college sales club, but after we saw your saved sounds on TikTok, we just don't think your political views are safe for our work environment. Maybe should have kept them private. All right. Too many right-wing edits. Sir, we'd love to have you on board, but evidence has arisen that you once had fluffy hair and a dangly cross earring in 2020. We wish you the best in your future endeavors. Right? How do we move forward as a society? right? I mean, anyone who has fun on the internet has posted something that could probably not get them hired. I'm kind of banking on the fact that things get better. I love to make a good joke, and I'm trying my best to not really filter too much out of what I want to say, because I love making this podcast and I want it to be quality. And I'm not saying it has to be offensive to be quality, but we can't just dance around every word we say. There's got to be some fun involved, right? The rules of employment: no tattoos below the elbow or on the face, no piercings that are, odd, and no fun posts on social media. Easy enough to follow, right? But, how important will a digital footprint be in the future? Is everyone screwed? Can we get Congress to submit a bill that employers are just not allowed to search a candidate's name during the hiring process? All right, still run the background check, right? Make sure the person you're hiring is not going to require the installation of metal detectors outside the office down the road, obviously. But can we just leave social media out of it? Please? Can we just have some fun? Can we just give everyone a Rorschach test and call it a day? Make sure the person's degree isn't fake. Give them a typing test. And confirm that they're never going to go Tyler Durden in the office. What's so hard about that? All right. Let the January 6th rioters work in the office. Let the summer 2020 looters work in the office. All right. Who people commit political violence against in their free time is no business to corporate. Come on. This is how we create peace. All right. Can we have like a don't ask, don't tell, but for people's personalities in the workforce? I don't want to know what you're like. Just come in and do your job. All right. Now, obviously, this is terrible advice. We need it's a joke, right? We have to have some type of vetting process for people to get hired. And in all seriousness, let's settle this the way that everything's settled today. And that, my friends, is a boxing match. All right. In 2017, it would have been a diss track battle, but the rules have changed. All right. Put your candidates for a certain job position into the ring. All right. Obviously, look, we want to keep men and women separate. Okay. If Leah Thomas applies, we'll figure it out when we get to it. No further comment. But, did you guys see, by the way, that now apparently Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg are going to fight? I want to see that. All right. Not sure they're in the same weight division, but we'll see what happens. Now, I feel like boxing has really lost its meaning in the past few years, though. And I feel like that kind of started with Mayweather against McGregor in 2017. I remember me and all my buddies were huddled watching it on Instagram Live in like 360p. But I feel like since then, I haven't really heard of boxing, like real boxing since then, I feel like. And that was not real boxing. That was like that was a show. But like, where's Manny Pacquiao? Where are all of the big name boxers, right? The only people I hear about boxing anymore are micro celebrities online, right? They have these pay-per-view events where they box each other on the same website where Steven Crowder and Nick Fuentes host their shows. And they're somehow making a killing off of it, right? Today on Blaze TV, we have Logan Paul's third cousin fighting a Twitch streamer with 400 average viewers. And they're getting paid $5 million a piece. What? Who's paying for that, dude? Who's paying for that? Today on Creator Clash, we have the father who abuses and monetizes his kids behind the scenes on YouTube and a bout with a Minecraft YouTuber currently battling pedophilia allegations. Over to you, Chris, down on ringside. What are we doing here? Who is paying for this, man? Who is paying, first of all, for pay-per-view? And then where are these companies getting the money to host this stuff? And why? I don't know. But if anyone wants to, box me, I'll do it. All right. I got 60 followers on Instagram now. I think I'm almost there. I'll do it. I'm guilty as charged. I just made fun of it. But if someone gave me a call, and if you want to give me a call, wink, wink, I'll get in the ring with you. All right. But I don't know if real boxing still really exists. It seems like the UFC is the only real fighting that ever still happens. And maybe I'm out of the loop. I don't know. But the only boxers whose names I know are all retired and they're 50 years old. And they're looking to fight another Paul brother so they can buy their 16th Lamborghini. They don't care if they win or lose. They're going to make another $20 million, right? But I don't know. It's interesting. It's very interesting. But yeah, let's forget about the whole hiring process and let's just go back to the old days. You want the job? All right, buddy, come take it from me. Let's get in the ring. But speaking of the UFC, man, I love the UFC. Admittedly, I don't know a whole lot about mixed martial arts, but dude, the main events, the main cards for UFC are so much fun. All right. A UFC title fight on a Saturday night is like a podcast bro reunion once a month. All right. Joe Rogan is ringside calling the fights. Dana White is somewhere with the Nelk boys. There's a good chance Hezbollah is in the building. Mel Gibson is somewhere saluting Donald Trump walking in. Theo Von's mullet is swaying back and forth as a guy gets knocked out. Tai Tuivasa is knocking somebody out and drinking a Happy Dad hard seltzer out of a shoe. And the main sponsors are Monster Energy, Modelo, and 4hims.com. Come on. They're fun, They're fun. They're fun. They know what they're doing. They know their target audience, man. They need to drop some UFC merch like the old tap-out shirts. The old tap-out shirts that you would see in Walmart. They could make a killing. UFC tap-out collab, right? But, the UFC sort of puts in the mainstream light this canon universe of stand-up comedy, podcasting, and fighting. They all go hand in hand somehow. And Joe Rogan is like the kingpin, right? To get a ringside seat at UFC, you don't need a lot of money. You have to just have a sponsor from Traeger Grills, BetterHelp, ExpressVPN, Athletic Greens, or Blue Chew on your podcast. And I have heard they check you at the door to make sure you have one of those. It's not about money. It's about having a podcast, and it's about having one of those sponsors. You could walk in with $1 billion and they'd say, yeah, dude, we're not letting you sit ringside. You can take your money home, but you don't have a masculine enough sponsor on your podcast. All right. So, sorry. But, In other news, let's talk about another sports league. Let's talk about the NBA. All right. The NBA, the drama off the court in the NBA is now bigger than what goes on the court. The Nuggets won the NBA Finals, and there wasn't a whole lot of hype around it. Now, granted, Denver's not the biggest market, right? But, I was in the hospital during most of the finals, and it was actually like the first NBA Finals I've watched all the way through in years. I haven't been as into the NBA recently. been more into baseball, football, but it was a great series, entertaining, and I enjoyed watching it. But the bigger story was not the NBA Finals, but instead, the bigger story was, what is Ja Morant's punishment going to be for playing with Nerf guns, right? Adam Silver comes out, he says, we don't want it to take away from this series. I'll announce his punishment when the series is over. And that seemed to be a bigger story than the finals itself. He ended up getting suspended for 25 games. And look, Ja Morant and the organization I'm about to name, I'm going to look right in the camera right now at you. Ja Morant, I know you're probably down in the dumps. 25 games, though, not that bad. You're going to lose out on some money, but I've got a way for you to make it back, buddy. This is the perfect opportunity for the NRA to expand their target market. Give Ja Morant an NRA sponsorship. He's just an American exercising his Second Amendment right. This is a huge opportunity for the NRA, and I hope, for their sake, that they seize it. Unlock a whole new target market. Man, if you're the GOP, call your buddy at the NRA and say, look, dude, you want to win this election next year? Give Ja Morant a call. All right? You are going to... You're going to, the tables are going to turn. All right. But besides that, there's also some interesting soap opera happenings with Zion Williamson. He has an interesting taste in women, to say the least. And this person that he decided to mess around with tweeted about him hundreds and hundreds of times for weeks on end after it was discovered that he knocked up another woman. Now, this woman was suspended on Twitter after threatening to release, let's just say, inappropriate material about Zion Williamson without his consent if he didn't reach out back to her. And she ended up getting suspended for that. This woman might have to be checked into a padded cell. She's already padded herself. I believe she's had some cosmetic surgery done. Just a guess based on photos I've seen on Twitter. So might have to throw the padded woman into a padded cell. Not good though. Not a very sane sounding situation, but it does seem like the NBA is more of a soap opera now than anything in the last few years. The offseason seems to be sometimes more entertaining than the real regular season and playoffs. Every year you get a new super team together in a new city, and that team underperforms or never actually plays together. They split up, and then you repeat. You think about the Brooklyn Nets a few years ago. They had Durant, Harden, Irving, and they only ever played 16 games together. Now, that was due to multiple things that came up, but still, it seems like a lot of it's less and less about the actual basketball these days. Everyone can drop a 50-point game every night, but don't get me wrong. We're still watching basketball at the highest level, especially in the playoffs when teams really start to play defense. And there's never been more skill in the game than there is now. But it just seems like in the NBA, everyone wants to jump ship at the first sign of it sinking. Hopefully I don't get in trouble for that one. But I think I'm going to end this episode there, guys, right around the 49, 50-minute mark. Let that last joke sink in. Let that last joke sink to the bottom of your brain. So I hope you guys all enjoyed. Once again, if the people in the sub unfortunately do or did or have or may pass away, it's very sad. It's not a good situation. But it's in my contract. I had to talk about it. I'm very sorry. So we will see you guys next week in episode 12. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you.